Welcome to TechNova Podcast.
All right, so picture this. You're out there miles from civilization. Maybe you're exploring a national park or trekking through some remote mountain range. And all of a sudden you need to make a call or send a message. But there's one problem: no cell service.
It's a pretty common scenario, right?
Oh, yeah. I think we've all been there. And it can be frustrating, even a little bit scary sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But what if I told you that T-Mobile wants to make those dreaded dead zones a thing of the past?
It's a pretty ambitious goal, for sure.
Absolutely.
T-Mobile is saying that they want to eliminate dead zones across the entire U.S.
The whole thing.
Yeah, we're talking over 500,000 square miles.
Wow, that's huge.
Larger than California and Texas combined.
We're talking cell service pretty much anywhere you can see the sky. So for this deep dive, we are taking a close look at the information on T-Mobile's website, specifically their new partnership with Starlink to provide satellite phone service.
Oh, this is interesting.
Yeah. So let's buckle up and explore how this technology works, what it offers during this beta phase, and what the future holds for staying connected, even in the most remote corners of the world.
Yeah, because, think about it. Traditional cell towers, they rely on a network of ground-based infrastructure.
Right.
And it makes it really challenging and expensive to cover every single nook and cranny, especially in areas with rugged terrain or, vast, sparsely populated regions.
You're talking about like the middle of the desert or way up in the mountains. Yeah.
And this is where the satellite technology comes in. It offers a way to beam that connectivity down from space and sort of bypass all those geographical limitations.
So to do this, T-Mobile is partnering with SpaceX,
Oh, wow.
the company behind the Starlink satellite network, to launch what they're calling a constellation of satellites
Okay.
that act like cell towers in space.
So basically cell towers in space.
Yeah, it sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
It does. It does.
They've already got an impressive 451 of these satellites up there.
That's a lot.
It is. It's pretty amazing.
That is a remarkable feat of engineering. And, these satellites, they're designed to communicate directly with your cell phone
Okay.
using something called direct-to-cell technology. And here's what makes this revolutionary, is that it utilizes the same cellular frequencies that your phone already uses.
So you're saying I don't need one of those big, clunky, specialized satellite phones?
Yep. No.
Need. That's amazing.
Yeah, your phone can seamlessly switch between traditional cell towers and these space-based ones,
Oh, wow.
providing a much more user-friendly experience. It really could be as simple as looking up at the sky and having service.
Wow. Okay, I'm hooked.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more about how this works in practice.
Okay, so think of it this way. You're out hiking, you're in a remote area, no cell service, and your phone is constantly, searching for a signal. With this new technology, your phone will automatically detect and connect to a Starlink satellite overhead, just like it would connect to a regular cell tower.
So there's no need to, fiddle with any settings or special apps or anything.
No, not at all.
That sounds incredibly convenient, especially in an emergency situation.
Exactly. And actually, the best part is that T-Mobile is running a beta program right now, and it's open to anyone, regardless of their current carrier.
That's right. And until July 2025, it's completely free to try out.
Wow.
So they're really encouraging people to put this technology through its paces.
It's a really smart strategy, By opening up this beta to a wide range of users, T-Mobile can gather a ton of valuable feedback, real-world data to really refine the service before its official launch. It's like a massive nationwide test drive for satellite connectivity.
I like that. A nationwide test drive. I'm definitely signing up for that.
Yeah.
But during this beta phase, what can users actually do with this satellite connection?
Yeah.
Is it like full-blown internet access, or are there limitations?
So during the beta, the primary focus is on text messaging,
Okay.
which includes the ability to send texts to 911 emergency services.
That's huge, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially for anyone venturing into areas where, traditional cell service is unreliable.
Yeah.
Imagine being lost or injured in the wilderness, and you can send a text message for help,
Yeah.
even without a cell signal. It could be a lifesaver.
Absolutely. But it's important to understand why text messaging is the initial focus. Current satellite technology, while impressive, does have limitations when it comes to speed and something called latency.
Latency.
Yes.
Okay, so for those of us who might not be, super familiar with all the technical jargon,
Sure.
can you explain what you mean by latency in this context?
Yeah, so latency refers to the delay between sending a request and receiving a response. So imagine you click a link on a web page, and it takes a noticeable amount of time for the page to load.
Okay, yeah.
That delay is latency.
I see, I see. Okay, so why is latency more of an issue with satellite connections?
Well, because the signal has to travel such a vast distance from your phone to the satellite in orbit and then back down to Earth,
Right, right.
it inevitably takes a bit longer than a signal bouncing between nearby cell towers.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So for data-heavy tasks, like streaming video or making voice calls, that latency could be noticeable
Oh, yeah.
and make the experience less than ideal.
Yeah, exactly. Text messages, on the other hand, they require far less bandwidth and they are much less sensitive to latency,
All right.
making them a more reliable option for this early stage of satellite-based cell service.
Okay, so while we might not be streaming movies from the middle of the desert just yet,
Not quite yet.
the ability to send and receive text messages, including that crucial communication with emergency services, is a significant step forward.
It is indeed.
Yeah.
And as the technology continues to evolve, we can expect to see those latency issues improve, opening the door for even more capabilities in the future.
Well, before we get ahead of ourselves and start dreaming about video calls from Mount Everest, let's get back down to Earth for a moment and talk about the practicalities.
Mhm.
How much will all of this cost once the beta program ends?
Well, T-Mobile has laid out a couple different pricing options for after the beta. So for their most premium subscribers, those on the Go 5G Next plan, this satellite service will be included at no extra cost.
Oh, wow. So it's like a bonus for people already on that plan. It's like getting a whole new level of connectivity.
Exactly.
What about those of us who aren't on that top tier plan?
Well, for other T-Mobile customers, there will be an additional monthly charge of $15 to add the satellite service.
Okay, so it's not free for everybody. But $15 a month, I mean, that doesn't sound outrageous considering the potential benefits.
Right. And there's actually a special offer for T-Mobile customers who sign up early. So if they jump on board before March 1st, they can get it for $10 a month.
Ah, the early bird gets the satellite signal. What about folks who aren't currently T-Mobile subscribers? Can they get in on this space-age connectivity too?
Absolutely. After the beta period, non-T-Mobile customers can subscribe to the satellite service for $20 a month.
So it's a little bit pricier if you're not already in the T-Mobile ecosystem.
Yeah.
But compared to, like, those dedicated satellite phone services out there, it's still a competitive price point.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Those traditional satellite phone services can be very expensive.
Yeah.
And they often require that specialized equipment, whereas this new offering from T-Mobile is, really aiming to make satellite connectivity more accessible and affordable for the average person.
Yeah, it seems like they're really trying to disrupt the market. But, they've made it clear that not every phone out there is going to be able to connect to these space-based cell towers. How do we know if our phones are compatible?
Yeah, compatibility is crucial. To connect to that Starlink satellite network, your phone needs, very specific hardware and software.
Okay.
T-Mobile has provided a list of compatible devices on their website, and it includes a lot of popular models.
It looks like iPhone 14 and newer models are supported, along with Google Pixel 9 and newer, and a bunch of Samsung Galaxy devices.
Yep, and they also emphasize that having the latest software updates on your phone is essential to ensure, seamless connectivity.
So as with any technology, staying up to date is key to unlocking all the latest and greatest features.
Exactly.
And speaking of latest and greatest, T-Mobile seems pretty proud of the fact that they're the first and only U.S. mobile provider to offer this kind of space-based network. Do you think they'll be able to hold on to that lead for very long?
It's definitely a huge accomplishment for them to be first.
Yeah.
But the telecommunications landscape is so competitive.
It is.
It's pretty safe to assume that other carriers are probably also exploring similar solutions. So whether or not T-Mobile can maintain that lead long-term remains to be seen. It's going to depend on things like network coverage, service reliability, pricing, and, of course, the pace of technological innovation.
It's a fascinating race to watch unfold. But let's get back to the immediate future for a second. T-Mobile has highlighted several other advantages that their service offers. They've said that, anyone on any carrier can access it. During the beta, they're really touting their partnership with Starlink,
Yeah.
leader in satellite technology, and they're really emphasizing that seamless automatic connection feature. They're even working with Apple and Google to integrate their service as the default satellite connection option on their smartphones.
Yeah.
It sounds like they're really going all out to make this like a truly integrated and user-friendly experience.
Yeah, it really speaks to their commitment to this technology and their vision of a future where connectivity is truly, ubiquitous.
Yeah.
They're not just offering a service. They're trying to build an ecosystem.
I like that.
Yeah.
And they've got a pretty impressive roadmap for future development. I mean, we've talked about the limitations of the beta phase,
Mm,
you know, primarily focusing on text messaging,
right.
but they're already talking about adding picture messaging, data services, voice calls, and even international roaming capabilities.
Oh.
It's like they're taking us on a journey from basic connectivity to a full-fledged mobile experience, all powered by satellites.
It's an exciting prospect, and if they can deliver on these promises, it could change how we communicate and access information.
It really could. I mean, imagine, being able to video chat with your family from a remote research station in Antarctica or stream your favorite podcast while sailing across the Pacific Ocean. I mean, the possibilities, they're kind of endless.
Yeah, for sure.
But okay, while we're all, excited about sending selfies from the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro, I think it's important to remember that this technology is still very much in its early stages.
Right.
There are limitations, and it's really crucial for users to understand them, especially when it comes to, those emergency situations.
Oh, absolutely. We've talked about, how you can send text messages to 911 during the beta, but there are some really important things to keep in mind. While it's an incredible safety net to have, it's not a perfect replacement for those traditional 911 services.
So what are some of the things that users should be aware of?
Well, firstly, because of, the nature of satellite communication, those text to 911 messages might see some delays.
Okay.
And because pinpointing your precise location via satellite can be trickier than with traditional cell towers, it's super important to provide as much information as you can about your location in your message.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
And another thing to remember is that there's a chance your text message might be routed to like a regional emergency call center
Okay.
rather than your local 911 answering point.
So that could lead to delays in actually getting help sent to the right place.
It's a possibility, yeah. So while satellite connectivity is an amazing, advancement,
Yeah.
especially for expanding basic communication in those really remote areas, it's important to remember it's still developing. It's not a foolproof replacement for traditional emergency services.
It's a powerful tool to have, at your disposal,
Yes.
but it's really essential to use it responsibly and to understand those limitations.
Oh, sure.
All right, I think we've covered a lot of ground here today. We've explored the technology, we've talked about pricing, we've looked at the benefits and the potential drawbacks. But before we wrap things up, I'm curious, what are your thoughts on this whole satellite phone service?
Yeah.
What are your hopes? What are your concerns? I mean, it's mind-boggling to think that we're like on the verge of a world where, staying connected isn't limited by cell towers and geographical boundaries.
It is, but it also raises so many questions
Yeah.
about the implications for our society,
Yeah.
and how we interact with technology.
Absolutely. I mean, we've talked about the practical benefits, especially for people in remote areas or those working in industries like exploration or disaster relief.
Right.
But this technology also has the potential to kind of like reshape how we think about connectivity on
Yeah.
a much deeper level. Like, what does it even mean to be off the grid
Exactly.
when you can potentially be reached anywhere on the planet?
Yeah. Will we ever truly be able to escape, the constant pings and notifications if connectivity becomes so pervasive?
It's a good question. What will that mean for our mental well-being,
Yeah.
our ability to focus, to be present in the moment?
Really important considerations. And it's not just about individual choices either. We need to think about the bigger picture.
Yeah.
How will this impact our relationships, our communities, our sense of shared experience?
Yeah, it's like we're standing on the edge of like a whole new era of human connection, but we're still trying to figure out, the rules of engagement.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And as with any new technology, there will be intended and unintended consequences. And, it's our responsibility to engage in these conversations, weigh the potential benefits against the possible risks, and shape how this technology is used,
Yeah.
in a way that aligns with our values.
Yeah, I mean, T-Mobile has said that their goal is to close the digital divide,
Yeah.
to bring connectivity to those who have been left out, excluded from the benefits of the digital world.
Yeah.
But there's also this risk that this technology could actually make existing inequalities even worse.
Absolutely, and that's a valid concern. I mean, if access to the service is going to cost money, then it's not really solving the problem.
Yeah.
It's just moving the lines around. We need to ensure that everyone has equitable access to this technology, regardless of their income or where they live.
It's like we're building a bridge to a better future, but we got to make sure everyone has a ticket to cross it.
Exactly, exactly. And
So,
beyond that, the issue of access, there are also concerns about data privacy and security.
right.
When all of our information is, being beamed up to satellites and back down to Earth, how do we know it's protected?
Yeah, how can we be sure it's safe from prying eyes?
And it's not just about hackers or cyber criminals either. We need to think about the possibility of, governments or corporations using this technology for surveillance.
Yeah, that's a big one. It's a very complex issue, and it feels like there are no easy answers.
For sure, but it's a conversation that we absolutely need to have. The future of connectivity isn't just about the technology itself, it's about trust, it's about ethics. It's about making sure that these advancements benefit humanity and not the other way around.
Well said.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into T-Mobile's Starlink satellite phone service,
Hmm.
I'm left with a sense of excitement, but also caution. It's really incredible to see just how far human ingenuity can go, pushing the boundaries of what's possible. But it's just as important to be thoughtful, to approach these new developments with a critical eye and with a sense of responsibility, to make sure that, technology is a force for good in the world.
Absolutely. This technology has the potential to connect us in ways we never imagined,
Yeah.
but it also comes with a responsibility to use it wisely, ethically, and, for the benefit of everyone.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So, what are your thoughts? What possibilities excite you about this new frontier in connectivity? What concerns do you have? Share your insights, join the conversation, and let's work together to shape a future where no service is no longer a barrier to communication and connection.